take a look. It will be, as you said, for our semifinals. Tsubaki playing with what he's comfortable with. We've seen this time and time again. It looks really familiar. I'm not too sure if there's been any changes. Maybe the mix. He wasn't playing the mix, but recently I've been seeing him play a lot of the mix. And speaking of mix, it looks like Tsubaki taking care of little Asia's mix there.
Well, I think he realizes this mix probably has some speed on it. Those energy manips are going to be very dangerous onto something like that 𝗧𝗵𝗵, who even with the sweatband, I mean, if you water cutting Lily at the wrong time, if you get exhausted before your water cutting Lily, your sweatband doesn't matter. You are overexerting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we saw from the previous tournament too, we had it in the winner's interview. We said, Ricky, what was your MVP Temtem for the tournament? He easily turned around and told us it was his mix. So Tsubaki taking note of that. And yeah, Mixage is a powerful Temtem regardless of what team you're facing off. So does get that ban out of the way. So Tsubaki having that blue side as he was the higher seed. What does he want to start off with? I mean, there's a lot of not a lot, but a handful with the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the Volarin. So answers to everything. So it's just going to be who outplays the other, right?
Ooh, this is a really good lead, though, from, I mean, honestly, both sides. I like the Grumper early on as there isn't as much. I mean, it definitely threatens out more at risk to on turn one. The 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a fantastic counter, though. And Volarin maybe feeling a little bit safer with his friend 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 out here, wants to get some toxic damage, or maybe even, you know, push away this Naga from coming in turn one. And it is the Saku mascot coming back again for the turn one lead.
Yeah, so honestly, knowing Tsubaki, he's probably looking at something like double edge Lifeful Sap onto that Saku. Doesn't seem all that bad. If you're Ricky Tan, though, maybe something like, oh, no, Plague would go first to remove the Lifeful Sap. So no, Plague, you can't do that. So honestly, if Grumper wants to stay in, you probably just Plague the Grumper. And if that is, I think is not an anaerobic, Ricky Tan loves his aerobic. So I guess you have to throw out a win. Actually, no, against the Saku, maybe you still do a Noxious Bomb so you don't get your -1 special defense too low.
I don't know. I feel like as much as, you know, a lot of these Tems on Tsubaki's side are special attackers, getting that higher speed for some really good HKSs might be worth it. I mean, there is a Mashuk here as well, so Turbo Choreography is always an option. It would be good damage on Saku with a Noxious Bomb, but I don't know if it's worth targeting when, you know, as you had mentioned, we're likely going to see the Double Edge and Lifeful Sap. I mean, Saku can swap into the back and just heal all of that off.
Yeah, so knowing that, maybe what if you wanted to trap in the Saku before? So maybe you straight up just Plague the Saku, but then you're not doing a whole lot when you could have done a whole lot onto the Grumper. So we'll see. Ricky Tan, obviously with the game plan, he's in the semifinals for a reason. So I'm really curious how it plays out. But I want to say not too much pressure from Tsubaki, but the turn 2, turn 3, that's going to be a whole lot of pressure with the Saku online. So it should be good.
Yeah, and we saw last game, I mean, a tornado from this Saku did like 46% to a Volarin. So if we see something like that again, that would just be terrifying with a Grumper next to it.
All right, so let's head in. It's the first game of our semifinals here for the weekly number 34. Who is moving along? As I said before, this is pretty much the finals. If you guys watched it before, this is pretty much a little deja vu, except for the Temtems being used today. But yeah, these guys are no strangers to playing each other. Let's see who gets the upper edge in the very first matchup.
Completely off topic, I love his profile picture. He's just goofy and lovable, and he's fantastic.
Saku, right?
Oh no, Gulder on Tsubaki's side with his tongue sticking out. He just looks too friendly.
Yeah, it's always a tongue, right? That tongue always looks so funny.
All right, but yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about the turn 1 options during pick ban. We made our job easy, but it is the Goulder that swaps in. Doesn't want to double-edge 𝗧𝗵𝗶 just to... Oh, but he reads the Plague. He does. He knew what was happening, trying to trap in that Saku. But instead, now, I mean, Goulder trapped in with a Volar End is definitely not where he wants to be either. But, oh, strong liver. That's a strong liver Goulder. He just healed it right back up. And Thunderstrike still does just shy of 50%.
Yeah, so the opening turn going heavily in the favor of Tsubaki. What a brilliant read, knowing, as we said, Little Asia wanted to trap in the Saku. That was the intention, but hey, turn 2, another quick turn already clicked. 𝗬𝗧 is going to be coming out. Plague onto the Grumper, which should have been the opening turn, but hindsight is always 20/20. So let's take a look. Thunderstrike best mitigated with this 𝗬𝗧, just about 25%, no, 15%.
Yeah, it doesn't do very much at all. The Toxic Ink as well, not going to be too scary. Resistance trait stops at least one of those toxic ticks, keeps him a little bit healthier, up healthily above that 50% point. And now Hook Kick is available, so Grumper doesn't want to stay in for Plague Hook Kick. And really, in the back, I mean, maybe Mix is the best swap in here. If you have this thing built very physically tanky, we know he already has that special defense bulk. He might be able to survive. Not though, the 𝗂𝗵𝗶 handcuffs trapping Mix in. That might not look good with a Sandstorm later. I'm talking myself out of it the farther we go.
I can definitely see it. I'm wondering though, can Ricky Tan go for Plague Crystal Bite? Is that enough to kill the Grumper if it wants to stay in? Because maybe, I think it still kills as you get neutral damage onto Grumper, and the Plague did somewhere in the neighborhood of 40-50%, right? So maybe, just maybe, it will be enough. And hey, if Grumper swaps out that Crystal Bite, if it does appear to be the mix, that's going to be enough. A Plague plus a Crystal Bite, that's way too much, even for a 5 or maybe a 500 defense mix. But most people, a lot of people, if not no one, runs a 500 defense mix, so we'll see.
I feel like if anybody's going to spec to survive everything, it would be Tsubaki, though.
Very
and
true.
Something like this mix, this is the one Tem as well. If you can just survive whatever's coming your way, you're good to go. Then you're only afraid of AoE. You can always swap out to something else with, with things like Goulder, Saku, Tourney, if there's a lot of resistance that you've got on your team. So maybe it is worth just letting Mix take some hits, but this time it's Saku. Takes the Plague, gets trapped in, and 𝗬𝗧, likely targeting the same spot, will do good damage. Probably not enough to kill, though. The Hook Kick, yeah, just shy of that 50% point. Toxic Ink again, just wants those toxic ticks onto this 𝗬𝗧, slowly but surely whittling it away.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm wondering here, does the Tornado clean up the 𝗬𝗧? Is the 𝗬𝗧 just naturally faster than a 3 prio move from Saku? As we all know, Saku very slow Temtem. So maybe if there's enough speed, which we're talking about Little Asia here, so there should be a handful of speed. I think 𝗬𝗧, even with a Crystal Bite, still outspeeds, but doesn't want to let go of that 𝗬𝗧 just yet. Going with the 𝗬𝗺𝗀𝗋 here.
Yeah, absolutely. But its neutrality, it's looking very good this turn, as Tornado won't do very much and Toxic Ink won't do anything. Goulder is trapped in once more, so 𝗬𝗺𝗋𝗃 can wreak havoc on it later on. Tornado does hit this 𝗬𝗺𝗃 from 100% down to 74. That did more than I expected it to. Air Specialist Hand Fan is definitely nothing to scoff at. Toxic Ink as well. 𝗬𝗺𝗃 exactly 50%.
Yeah.
But luckily for Little Asia, the Saku can't Tornado twice, so we will survive the following turn.
Yeah, so impressive stuff. We usually don't see anything break even so perfectly there. So 50 exact % left on the 𝗬𝗺𝗃. Now 𝗬𝗺𝗃 has a Tornado of himself. I'm wondering though, does he want to try to gun down Saku first, something like a neutral beta burst, or does he just want to go for the big heavy damage? Because 𝗂𝗵𝗆 had to overexert that previous play. He lost a little bit of that HP due to the overexertion, so 𝗂𝗵𝗆 isn't going to be doing anything this turn, of course, as it's forced to rest. So only able to do anything with the 𝗲𝗺𝗁. Let's take a look.
This might be a good time to retreat the 𝗬𝗶𝗶 for something like the 𝗂𝗶𝗵𝗶. Try to get a little bit of presence out there with some really strong toxic.
Yeah, I could see something of the like, but here goes the 𝗬𝗵𝗄𝗃. So setting up for that another turn tornado, or you could just go for 𝗬𝗵𝗄𝗃 again, as Golder is going to be the slower Temtem ever.
Yeah, I think definitely Golder's days are numbered. 𝗬𝗶𝗶 decided to stay in, just get himself a little bit of toxic damage, survive for little Asia, as Tsubaki will survive with these Tems. We know it's going to happen. We see it all the time. And despite, you know, what we talk about here, Tsubaki's looking very good for facing down a hard aggro team. And Ricky's taken quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, I mean, the health differential is definitely apparent on the scoreboard, so you're exactly right, but we'll see. I mean, Ricky Tan has the speed. Everything on the side of Tsubaki-chan's fairly slow, so if he's able to double up with those speed Tems, may be able to make a difference. 𝗬𝗶𝗶 is back online, able to do anything, maybe removing that Lifeful Sap as we were seeing there, so plaguing Saku under 50%. And is trapped once again.
He does overexert himself for it though, so it is just a little bit more damage and less presence next turn. Golder is the good one, as Volarend has less to do in the future, and 𝗬𝗶𝗶, he's gonna survive. 12.6, it does 12.5. No, it does, it rounds up. He falls down, just not enough. 𝗬𝗶𝗶,
I think that's so actually close. It ends up working better for Ricky Tan, I want to say, because if that 𝗬𝗶𝗶 stayed in, it was immobile, right? It wasn't able to get anything. So I think with bringing in a fresh Temtem, it's actually ended up working better. So I think Tsubaki was praying it didn't kill. Well, hey, it is what it is. So both Tsubaki and Ricky Tan bringing out a Temtem. Maybe the mix doesn't feel that bad to face off against the 𝗲𝗺𝗁𝗁. But then you might have to deal with little Asia bringing in a 𝗬𝗂𝗃.
I feel like if 𝗬𝗂𝗃 comes through, Tsubaki can always just swap out the mix, or maybe even survive something. I mean, I don't imagine Ricky would go for something like a Crystal Bite right away, because, I mean, absolutely, that mix has to be spec to survive something like that on its own. So it would need to be doubled into with something, you know, a little bit weaker first. But it is Volarend instead. Vola v Vola. I think that this board state might favor Ricky Tan a little bit.
Yeah, I think so as well. With Saku being trapped in, something like, I was gonna say 𝗵𝗵𝗺's Noxious Bomb would bring it down, but no, it looks like he's gonna try to do it with only the Noxious Bombs. Here goes number one. How much is it gonna do? 48. Whoa, oh, the way.
Doesn't need to, doesn't need the 𝗵𝗵𝗺s to... Oh, but Volarend goes down as well. The Doppelganger's Brooch on Fluffy is just too threatening. That was half damage.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like max attack potentially on both of these Volarends. So well done. I mean, Saku got brought down, but now your Volarend was brought down too. Was that a good exchange? 𝗵𝗵𝗺 coming in for Tsubaki, and out comes the 𝗂𝗵𝗵𝗺 for Ricky Tan. This was a good play to bring 𝗬𝗂𝗃 the previous turn, because now everything is back online. The hook kick should be able to go first. There is no speed on this 𝗬𝗶𝗶, as it is going to be anaerobic. So 𝗬𝗂𝗃 most likely the fastest Tem on the board. Something like a HKS shouldn't be enough to close out that remaining 42%. So can a hook kick get the job done against the 𝗵𝗺𝗺? We've seen it in the past. It's a bit of a tanky boy, so maybe too ambitious. We'll see.
Yeah, might have to double into that 𝗵𝗺𝗺 spot, but I don't think that 𝗂𝗵𝗵𝗃 has been on the board at all this game, right? So there's no water techniques. It would just be the Toxic Ink. Chamomile on have to be the hook kick. Hook kick has to get this kill on 𝗵𝗺𝗺, or else quite a lot of damage is going towards this 𝗂𝗵𝗵𝗃. Or even worse, the 𝗵𝗺𝗺𝗃.
Yeah, or even just taking care of the 𝗬𝗪𝗧, because once you take care of the 𝗬𝗪𝗧, the 𝗬𝗪𝗧 is free to roam. So maybe something like a mud showers on 𝗬𝗪𝗧 as well if it lives. I think it will live though. 62% for like a tanky Grumper. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a lot. Usually if it's a normal Grumper, 7% remaining.
Yeah, that looks like he liked what you were talking about, doubling it on the 𝗬𝗪𝗧, but Feather Gatling Mud Shower brings it down, and 𝗬𝗪𝗧 is looking very good for the rest of this game. 𝗬𝗪𝗀 forced out. I mean, the Strangle on the Volorend was nice. It means 𝗬𝗪𝗧 gets to survive another turn, but kind of rough for 𝗧𝗵𝗃 is, you know, he can kill this Grumper this turn, but what are you going to do about the mix?
Exactly right. We said it. 𝗬𝗪𝗧 was the only Temtem really putting a hurt in on that mix. So very well done for Tsubaki taking care of the bigger threat. And now it looks like it's time for the mix to come out to play. Let's see how much is going to get done. Can it just kill the 𝗵𝗀𝗀 outright? Let's take a look. Crystal Spike. And it does.
Yeah, absolutely. 50% left on that 𝗵𝗀𝗀. It was going down all day long. And wow, 40% from this onto the 𝗬𝗪𝗧 as well. Toxic Ink, we're going to get it started onto 𝗬𝗪𝗧, but there's not enough time to get it finished as 𝗬𝗪𝗧 is certainly down this turn. It is conceding for Tsubaki Jan. Was an issue, but believe it or not, that Volorend just being there to take any toxic damage that 𝗬𝗪𝗧 might have thrown his way, to do so much back onto any toxics and the Volorend of 𝗧𝗵𝗃. I think Mix and Vola were definitely the MVPs on Tsubaki's side, you know, despite Grumper doing quite a lot as well.
So I believe, I'm trying to think back, what was the first ban for 𝗧𝗵𝗃 before? I think it was the Kino as well, and it was the mix for Tsubaki. So not switching up any of the bans, I want to say, from game number 1. But does start a little bit different. I do not remember. Oh, no, it was the Wolfie. So picking up the Wolfie for the second time, he paired that up with... wait, actually, I can't even recall, man. What did he pair it up with?
I think it was with Volorend on game 1.
Okay. Yeah, it was the Volorend because he went Thunderstrike into it, if I remember right.
Yes, that is correct, because it was Grumper on the other side, and Saku, I think, was the second lead for Tsubaki last time. He's taking his time though. He's back on orange. He knows that whatever. Yeah, he goes for the deadly duo of Gul'dan Naga. I mean, Bamboozle goes first, and then what are you gonna do? This is these two Tems on their own. If you don't have multiple ways to deal with it, I mean, you could just lose the game in pick ban from this.
Yeah, so tries to bring in the 𝗬𝗪𝗧. 𝗬𝗪𝗧 able to outspeed and defeat Aura the Wolfie, so I guess the best bet, something like a Toxic Ink, the Nagais, pop the Bamboozle, and then the Plague connects. But the Plague is going to connect after a potential Madness buff, so it's going to be able to reduce that damage thanks to that +2 special defense, so it won't be as heavy as that Toxic Ink. Unless, I mean, maybe there's someone with the drill out there on their 𝗬𝗪𝗧. We'll see. It could be crazy if it does it, but we'll see. Maybe Tsubaki was keeping track of Little Asia's team throughout the tournament.
So I don't love saying things like this early on, typically, but earlier I was in voice chat with Talwin when we faced Tsubaki, and it is Strange Vest mix. So even if it does get that +2, that Plague is going to do so much damage. So that alone might be, you know, scaring Naga away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In that, with that thought, Tsubaki probably gonna be retreating the Nagais. That's a little bit too much pressure, unless he thinks he can still get away with it. Scotch Freeze, just take the damage turn 1, and then retreat it for the back line, because he has to save it for that Size Munch, has to save it for the Mashuk. So might just be able to get a simple turn 1 Madness buff, and then retreat it for for when you really need it against those Temtems, as we mentioned. But it looks like 𝗧𝗵𝗶 finish up with his recruits. Now Tsubaki thinking about the Grumper or the Saku, and of course elects to go with that trusty Saku there.
Yeah, Grumper looking a little bit less fun this time with Mashuk and 𝗧𝗵𝗶 on Ricky's side. You know, just a little bit too much melee for the poor little Earth. Doesn't really want to take that fight. So now, I mean, yeah, this is really just a battle of attrition from turn 1, huh? We want to know, will Naga stay in, or, you know, maybe this is just a free Saku swap.
Yeah, I mean, it seems reasonable for a Voloran to come in here, right? You eat the Plague, you eat the Toxic Ink, and that's exactly what Tsubaki has in mind. So Voloran gets swapped in here, but Ricky Tan most likely thinking about the Voloran too, and bringing out a Voloran of his own. So hopefully the Doppelganger Brooch is on both, and we'll see who gets the better edge there.
Yeah, so it is Toxic Ink, and Toxic Ink trading both ways onto Volorend and Volorend. But Tsubaki's actually took a little bit more damage. I guess this is the same high attack 𝗂𝗶𝗆 that we saw win the finals of the previous weekly. But Feather Gatling, Ricky does outspeed. Fluffy's down to 39%. But minus special defense might be a little bit rough later on for this Volorend. Once more, 39%.
Oh.
Fluffy does more damage.
Oh, and it is a drill. It is indeed a drill. So not only pop the bamboozle, but nullified anything from the Voloran coming out this next turn. So now Ricky Tan 100% has the pressure on the board. It is an aerobic one, so +1 speed, a HKS, or maybe you don't even go for HKS this turn. Maybe you just go for simple Feather Gatling, and then that second, once you have a +2 speed, then you go for HKS there. It seems reasonable, because 𝗂𝗀𝗺 not going to be killing the Voloran from this position.
I'm curious if this turn is a Noxious Bomb play for Ricky. As you know, if Fluffy swaps out into anything, Sokka or Naga don't want to take that Noxious Bomb. Alakazam, it's a nice little bit of damage that certainly won't bring us to Puppet Master. And at the end of the day, Ricky's Volorend is still faster, so he can Feather Gatling the following turn if Fluffy decides to stick it out, and he can still take him down before any more damage comes to this Volorend on Ricky's side.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that. Wait, you're saying bring out the mix, or is he?
And keep a little bit of the advantage, because a Feather Gatling onto Naga or Saku wouldn't be very eventful. So if he clicks the Noxious Bomb instead, he's not risking anything as he still outspeeds Fluffy. But he could do some more damage if Tsubaki decides to swap, which could be very nice.
I see. Yeah, it makes complete sense. Voloran does not feel too comfortable if you're on the side of Tsubaki-chan, so he's thinking about a swap. If he doesn't swap, it might be the real mind games, because Ricky Tan could just easily click Feather Gatling and kill the Voloran there. So it is not able to do anything, but hey, Rawrzyyy, it looks like you're calling it right here. It's gonna be the mix to come out. So what did he decide to do? Is it gonna be the Nox Bomb, or did he try to play it safe and just go for the 𝗂𝗀𝗺, but Saku is there to potentially eat that up?
Yeah, the Noxious Bomb does come through. It's hitting this mix, though. It's a nice little chunk of damage, and of course 𝗂𝗃 has to rest. I mean, anything that gets Mix closer to Puppet Master without putting it in is a win in my book.
Yeah, I could definitely agree. Now with that double swap from Tsubaki, really good double swap, and you don't need the Noxious Bomb on the Saku, so really good read. However, a lot of pressure back against Little Asia now with that -1 special defense. As you noted, Rawrzyyy, Crystal Spike probably ends out Voloran here. And then a Tornado, which is online for Saku, is going to be doing huge damage on the 𝗂𝗂𝗵𝗆. And nothing directly kills unless something like No, you can't HK as Toxic Ink. Yeah, it looks like Tsubaki has all the pressure for this turn number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he turned it around very well, looking, you know, Gulder doesn't want to take anything from Volderend, and Fluffy was on its deathbed, but just one very nice swap. He doesn't take very much damage in the process, and this is a hard counter. And realistically, in the back, I mean, these two melee Tems don't want to come in here, and Wolfie is still going to take a lot of damage from a tornado.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if Tsubaki just wants to double up on the same spot. Maybe Crystal Spike Tornado on the Volderend spot. That doesn't feel too bad. But you kind of want to start chipping away at the 𝗂𝗵𝗶 too, because Saku can't eat too many Toxic Inks now. So here we are. 𝗧𝗵𝗶 does get replaced for the Volderend, and it will be the 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗆. But hey, that is a Toxic Tem going into a Toxic Tem. Tornado still going to be catching it.
Yeah, that is so much damage, down to 19% right away. And now, I mean, Mix can just energy manipulation, and it's guaranteed to kill that 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗆, but he Size Surges the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 for almost 50%. That was a fantastic play from Tsubaki. He understands, you know, this Volderend is +1 speed. I'm probably not going to beat it even with the Crystal Spikes, so I'll go slow, and I will do so much damage to everybody.
Exactly right. Such a brilliant play for Tsubaki, knowing that, as you said, you won't outspeed, and Size Surge would have killed anyways on the Volderend, so might as well, but catches both Temtems on the entry. That was quite devastating turn. Can Little Asia bring things back around? I mean, 𝗧𝗵𝗆 Rec is online, so there goes the cage. Does Tsubaki want to retreat anything?
No, nothing. Potentially expecting this, and, you know, even scarier if he wants it. That's a heat up. He went for a heat up. Wind Burst takes down 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗆. There's no more melee synergy, and energy manipulation is going to go first. I don't think it kills after the damage we just saw, but it'll be very close. And Saku's got the tornado. This is terrifying right now.
Yeah, it depends on how speedy this 𝗬𝗂𝗆 is. Can it outspeed a 3 prio play from Saku? I don't think it will. I do think, as you said, an energy manip followed by a tornado probably outspeed the 𝗧𝗵𝗆. If it doesn't, Mix is going all the way down, and that's a big step in the right direction for Ricky Tan. But so far, so good on the side of Tsubaki. That's just the biggest question right now. Can the tornado outspeed?
Oh yeah, he plays Saku. Uses tornado. That is going to overexert and potentially do so much damage. But 𝗧𝗵𝗆, he falls down. He doesn't get to click wreck. Wind Burst onto Wolfie does more than he would like. And no tornado means no overexertion, means Saku and Mix are looking very, very good still.
Yeah, and with 𝗂𝗵𝗆 and the Volderend at -1 special defense, the only Temtems in the back line, both of these Temtems, cage or not, they're staying on the board. They just want to go off, so we find ourselves in the same situation, and Ricky Tan already knows. It looks like Tsubaki.